Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. And if you hear a little echo, it's a new change. I'm in a new space. So a few days ago, while I was cleaning out, not cleaning out, while I was looking for some Bratz clothes, I found a couple Bratz dolls that had hair that I absolutely have dreamed of finding a doll to restore. Boom! I found these two girlies in my little in my Bratz bin, or in my actually secondary bin that I keep my dolls in. This is what is it? Style It Sasha, and this is Step Out Yasmin. And both of these two girls have a curl pattern in their hair. They both have nice saran hair, and look how tangly it is. Ooh, I can't wait to have fun with like detangling and restoring this. Like, this is gonna be so fun. But I just really wanted to showcase my process of how I do this. I wouldn't necessarily call this a tutorial because, that would hold me liable for you not being able to do things correctly or do things my way. Not everything I do may be the correct way to do everything, but I'm doing what I can. I'm doing what I can and what I know works for me with my experience dealing with dolls that have similar hair types. But yeah, let's get into the restoration process. And first, let's get Sasha a body. This is just going to be a temporary body that I give her. She just has like a little mini body with the 2018 arms, but something that I can at least hold on to while I detangle her hair and stuff like that. But yeah, let's get into that.
Right, so here I am with the Yasmin and Sasha. I start off with washing them with some hand soap using a old toothbrush that I had. For Yasmin, I'm making sure I scrub her face really, really good, and I also get her body really well. She has been sitting in my bin of dolls that I don't really use that often. So I just wanted to make sure I cleaned her very, very well before I even started with restoring her. And I did the same thing with Sasha's head. They both had some marks on their faces, and luckily this toothbrush method got those marks out. I am using the exact same hand soap to start washing both of their hair. I'm starting with Yasmin's, and just the longest clip we're gonna have of Yasmin. Jesus, God, Jesus Christ, Yasmin's hair is absolutely amazing. Like, seriously. I cannot overstate or understate how soft her hair is. When I'm talking soft, I mean soft. I start with detangling their hair with regular, cheap conditioner. Please don't use your own human conditioner. Like, black people, don't use that conditioner. Use cheap conditioner. Don't use this conditioner either. This is another thing. No specialty conditioners, no moisturizing conditioners. It's plastic hair. It's the moisturizing properties that you think are going to be added on to the doll's hair is not going to work. That stuff is for our hair to suck up, and that's just going to sit on top of the plastic. So just get some regular, really cheap conditioner like that I got and use that. I promise you will not regret it. Like, just get some really, really cheap conditioner and it'll work. But back to Yasmin. Her hair was incredibly soft, and so easy to detangle. This is literally the best experience I've ever had in my life detangling a doll's hair. This doll lost no hair. How often can you say, yeah, I was detangling this doll. She had kind of pretty knotted up hair, and she didn't lose any hair plugs. Huh? She didn't lose any hair strands either. No breakage, no anything. Insane. And then look how gorgeous that looks. Oh, Jesus Christ, I love that doll. And now here is like a little look at what Sasha looked like before I washed her hair. I wrung her out because I need to take a before picture.
But I'm not even gonna lie though, this is kind of grossing me out. I don't like the way it looks. The texture of it is also kind of grossing me out. So what I'm gonna do is just try to finger detangle her pieces into big sections. That way I can detangle everything like section by section instead of having to worry too much about, you know, what is what, and I'm feeling something hard in her hair. It's grossing me out. Ooh wee, ooh wee, ooh wee, ooh wee. Oh yeah. But this is what I wanted. I wanted to restore a doll like this. Oh god, I'm getting what I asked for in so many ways that I didn't want. Oh, this is grossing me out. Oh god. Why? I feel like an experience like this could turn me off of getting secondhand dolls all the way. But I know how hard certain dolls can be to find, and I'm grateful that I'm able to find dolls in lots.
It was the best of times and it was the worst of times. Jesus Christ, can I tell you, this doll was the worst doll I've ever had the displeasure to restore. Literally, all of her, she had light streaks in her hair. Literally all or almost all of those light streaks were ripped out of her head from me detangling. She had so many tangles at the tips of her hair that it was insanely hard for me to even get the brush to go halfway up her head without me having to start all the way over at the tips just to get the detangles out at the tips. She lost the most hair that I've ever had a doll lose. Like, ever. I'm talking like old polypropylene dolls. I'm talking old Saran and Kanekalon dolls. Like, I've never had a doll lose this much hair. Just like I've never had a doll lose zero hair at all, I've never had a doll lose this much hair. It's insane the amount of hair she lost. Absolutely insane in the membrane at how much hair she lost. Like, I tried my best to be as gentle with this as possible because I know, like, you know, from my own experience with my hair, with wash days with myself, you know, you got to be gentle. You got to really take your time. And this is on 8 times speed. 8 times speed. This is like, it took me, when I finished like this part of the video, it was like an hour. I was filming for an hour. I was genuinely filming for a whole ass hour detangling this doll's hair. It is ridiculous. I have never ever had a doll that had this bad, well, that naturally is Dana doll. I did forget about her. Is this as bad as that? This was, ooh, was this as bad as that? Ooh. This was a bit no, I think this was worse than Dana. She had polypropylene, but at least her hair was, you know, pretty much intact. Yeah, this was worse than Dana. But anyways, now that I finished finally detangling both of their hair, I add more conditioner in their hair and I let them sit. I think I let them sit for about maybe an hour and a half. And for both of them, since they both have some texture in their hair, I just scrunch their hair up in my hand and do that to rinse off all the conditioner. I try my best to get off as much of the conditioner as possible when I'm just doing a regular wash. But when I'm doing a boil wash, that's a different story, and we'll get into that later. I tried my best to, finger detangle Sasha's hair just to make sure that her hair was treated as gently as I possibly could, just because of I was not expecting her to lose this much hair, and like you can see how thin her hair looks now. But girl, Yasmin really ate the girls up with her hair. I am so happy with her, like insanely happy with her. But you'll see the results in 1 second.
All right, so here is Sasha's after. She looks pretty decent. As you saw through her detanglement and all that stuff, she did lose pretty much like half of her hair, and at least to me it's visible somewhat, but her original hairstyle kind of alleviates that somewhat because it creates that extra volume along with the curls themselves, creating that extra volume, which is good and great. I'm still trying to figure out how I can curl, what I can use to curl some hair to, add hair to her. And most of the hair, pretty much all the hair that I lost were those light colored streaks that was in her hair. You can see a little bit that is left. And those streaks are pretty much like they're mostly visible in the front and stuff, which is, it's okay, but it's clear that those streaks were supposed to be throughout the hair. I'm not going to do any extra effort of trying to add streaks to every single plug like there were originally. I am just going to just give her some more just dark hair throughout her head. I'm going to be adding it to plugs that already exist and also just giving her a part line too. I don't mind her hair being a little bit on the thinner side. I don't mind that at all. Just because of the volume that her natural hair does give. Yes, this is thinner than even like the Girls Night Out dolls and stuff like that, but I definitely just need to just add more hair and she'll be perfectly fine. On to Miss Yasmin. Her hair is still, it was still feeling very tangly and a little bit frizzy, so I decided to give her a quick boil wash while I tried some methods on curling hair. Quick note, no, they didn't work. Trying other methods now, but I'm hoping that that might do some justice to her hair because it was it's still super soft, but it was getting kind of frizzy and tangly all over again. And yeah, that just didn't really sit right with me, especially with her being a freshly detangled doll with pretty much no hair loss and all that stuff. So yeah.
All right, so this is that method of curling that I was talking to you about just a couple seconds ago. I tried to basically do a really dumb thing where I wanted to curl this hair because this is the hair I wanted to add into my Sasha. I wanted to curl this hair before I added it into her head. I wanted to curl it and I wanted to dye it before I added it into her head. Which on paper, yeah, like that's not really that dumb. That's like a normal thing what you would do, or that's a normal thing to do it. But I wanted to curl the hair first, and then I was gonna dye it, and then I was gonna put it into her head. That's not a smart idea because if you take 2 seconds to think about it, once you curl the hair, it's going to get that nice little curl that you want. Then when you dye it, you have to use hot water to dye the hair. So dipping the hair in that water is going to adulterate the curl. Then also, if that doesn't adulterate the curl, then putting the hair inside the doll's head is going to adulterate the curl from like you messing with it or having to break pieces apart and all that stuff. I did not think none of that through. So thankfully, this method didn't work, even though I wasted another hour of my time trying to make this work. Basically what I was trying to do with this method was I was trying to do like the straw method curls, like normal, like you would normally do, in the sense of I'm wrapping the hair around the straw and I'm taking another straw and cuffing that over the top. That way it'll kind of have like a little, you know, a little hair sandwich, where it's straw hair sandwich. I mean straw. Which is like it was a decent idea, but I know it wasn't going to work with this. So at this point, I kind of gave up. And I was basically like, you know, well, I could just put her back into her original hairstyle in a sense. Just putting the pony a little bit higher. You know, she'll suffice like this until I get time to reroot her. But I was determined because I was determined because at that point, I got my hair to be think of what I was gonna say. At that point, I got my hair, the hair curl to be the type of curl that I wanted, and I felt like I was so close that I couldn't give up at that moment. So basically, after this, off camera, I figured out how to get the curl right, and you'll see that in the next clip. But this is Yasmin's hair after I did my first boy wash. No, I think this was just after I did the boy wash, period. Her hair was still a little wet, but Jesus God, look how good that looks. Ugh. Here is a good look at the curl pattern before I add in any more curlers. It's not really any definition to it. Like it has a crimp, but then also like it'll have parts like this where it'll span out and stuff like that. It doesn't have a real definition of sorts. It looks more like a twist out than an actual curl pattern, and then the ends are really bad and frizzy. So she is going to get a little bit of a haircut when I take out all the curlers and stuff like that, but I added some at the nape of her neck, and that gives me extra space to see where I need to add in my pieces. I still am going to be adding in the orange hair. I just will be adding it in different spaces to I'll be adding it in different spaces here and there around the head, just so the hair is a little bit fuller. My main focus is the front of the head, just because it's so flat and nothing is here. I want to focus on giving her a part line and then giving her a couple of spaces here and there of 2 or 3 plugs. Nothing too much to make this too thick, just because I know I am going to recurl it, and that is going to affect it somewhat too. At this point, this is after I added all the hair that I needed to add to her head. And this is me showing you how I curled her hair. So what I did was I took the same coffee straws that I was using before, and then I went to the store. I got some pipe cleaners, and I took the pipe cleaners and I threaded them through the straw to where the straw was basically sitting mostly in the middle. Then I took the hair and I wrapped it just like I was wrapping it on the straw. I made sure I brushed out the hair as best as I could to get the hair as like semi-straight as I possibly could. At least to get her textured hair feeling as semi-straight as I possibly could. So I took that and that's the straw. I took it and I wrapped it around. I started at the root and then I brought it down to the tip of the hair, just because I knew if I did it the other way, it'll kind of make it harder for me, at least, to be able to do it. So at that point, after I finished doing, combing her hair out, goodness gracious, it still has so many tangles and it was still kind of falling out. But anyways, at the front of her hair, I wrapped her hair very differently, just so I can get a specific look. I wrapped all her curls to face away from her face. That way it kind of like, her hair kind of falls, looks like it's falling back. I did all of those curls away from her face at her hairline and at her part line. But the last two curls that I did right above her ears, I did them to where they were going towards her face. I don't know, I just felt like that helped. But basically, I did that method throughout her whole head, in the sense of taking this the straw and threading the pipe cleaner through it, taking the hair from the root, brushing it out, making sure it's kind of as, detangled and as straight as I could get it. Then wrapping it tightly around that straw in alternating ways and patterns, just whatever I felt needed, whatever direction I felt it needed to be in at that moment. So I did that throughout her whole head, and Jesus Christ, it was relaxing and I loved it. When I tell you I love doing this every second, the only thing that I wish I did differently was I wish I added in papers, because I feel like even though, yes, this did mess up the ends of her hair, because I did it 3 times, I feel like definitely if I had in papers on for the first, even the first 2 times, but just the first time, I feel like her ends wouldn't be as bad to where I wouldn't have to cut as much off. Because I did end up having to cut her hair anyways, and I knew I was going to have to do that because some of her ends were bad overall anyways. So yeah, but she still turned out pretty good at the end though. She still turned out pretty good, so I'm very happy about that. Here is me getting everything set up for me to dye her hair and all that stuff. So I made sure I started out with a protected surface, and this is from the next day, where I did the rubber band. I did the elastic on her face just so I could keep her hair in like a specific position. And I took her body off so I could get her donor body, because I knew I was going to get dye on her body. But still at that time, I messed up, and I wasn't thinking that the dye was going to get on her the way it does. These are the 4 dyes that I'm going to be using to dye her hair. And also, I just wanted to make a note that these 3 dyes right here specifically could be used to dye your doll a deeper skin tone, in the sense of you taking a white doll and you dyeing using these 3 dyes in different combinations to get your doll to a deeper skin tone. I used these dyes to get my to custom dye me 3, I think it was like 3 or 4 Felicia heads, and it worked very, very well. That dark brown also could work, but it does have a little bit more of a purpley undertone than the 2 Dye More dyes that I have up there. So yeah, I used that to dye one Felicia's head, and it turned out a little bit more cool, matching the Molo of Felicia a bit more. Another thing I wanted to say before I get into the dyeing is that to make sure whenever you're dyeing your doll's hair a natural, deep color, in the sense of like a dark brown, like a really dark brown or something like that, make sure you add orange or red, or a combination of both of those, specifically orange, because with human hair, we have a lot of shades of orange and red in our like hair. That's why when you lift your hair, like when people are dyeing their hair and bleaching it and stuff like that, depending on how strong the bleach is, it'll just go to like red or orange or a really like yellowy color. And that's because we have a whole bunch of different layers of orange and all that stuff in our hair. And even like with our skin, like we're pretty much black people or melaninated people are pretty much just dark gingers. This is ginger. This is red all over our body, or orange skin in a sense. Which is why I have like plenty of fantasy colors, but I did have like 2 hanks of yellow hair. So that's why I chose, not yellow, orange. That's why I chose that orange hair. So I can get that, color. I put black in this just because I knew that those 3 colors without black weren't going to get as dark as I needed them to get. So I basically just threw that in, and I did my best to not add a lot of black because I knew that was going to mess up the hair. But what else? Just make sure you work on a protective surface. This time was actually one of my cleanest dye jobs ever. Like not squirts. Yeah, specks all everywhere or anything. Like nothing at all. Like left no trace. I love that for me. But anyways, I found a body for her, and also I just wanted to say, please just make sure you're working on a protected surface. This cup that I'm using now, it actually leaks liquids, and I didn't know that until after I poured pretty much everything, and you can see that. So once I saw that, I literally took that trash bag up, wiped it off as best as I could, put down some reusable bags that I had, and then put the trash bag in, opened it and put the cup inside. Just because I did not want to risk, messing up my my counter. Because I live in an old place that was from the 70s. So that stuff is really going to die easily. So like I already said with these already, the hair was a little bit too cool. The brown looked purple, so I had to dye it I had to add red and orange to it so it looked more like a natural color. So
it was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
I just realized that if I sit the whole head in there, that means the head is also going to get darker. So that means I have to just dip her head in there. So that's why I took her out so quickly. So I definitely did ruin her, which I'm sad about, but it's okay. This is a learning experience for me. I'm definitely glad I took her out when I did, because I can still hopefully be able to save her somewhat, slightly. I'm hoping that she still matches her body. No, she's too dark for it now, but it is what it is. I'm just hoping that the roots die now, because I'm kind of disappointed now
because I didn't think that through. If I thought it through, I didn't think at all that would be what happened, but it did. And as you can see, this is leaking already, so definitely was a good idea for me to. I've never tried this method before, and this is the prime reason why I don't do tutorials. And that's because I'm not gonna tell you to do something, first of all, and you mess it up because you can't follow my directions. And also, I'm not gonna tell you something because, like this case, I messed up. And messed up I did. But that's okay. I am such an icon, and the world just really loves me that I was able to easily fix that problem. So a little trick that I learned a little while ago while I was painting a Felicia was that acetone can actually lift dye off of a doll's skin. So I learned this from one day I wasn't really feeling the face up that I was doing for a Felicia doll. Wiped her face with some acetone, and suddenly her skin started to lighten up. So I was like, oh snap, okay. Purita. I will save this information for a future need. And thank goodness I remembered that, because she had a full recovery. At this point, you're basically seeing me dyeing just like the tips of her hair. I'm trying to be as careful as I can with dyeing her at this point, just because I didn't want to have to deal with her hair being even deeper or something like that. So basically, this is me showing you the results of the hair, and boy, does it look good. Like, I absolutely love the result. Absolutely love the result. I think she looks really, really pretty like this, but this is not the final result that she gets, at least not yet, because I have to go back and I have to dye her hair even darker, because the orange that was in her hair actually right here at this point, it looks like it took perfectly. But you'll see as I unravel her part line and stuff like that some parts just didn't take it all. And it looked like at first that pretty much all her hair dyed perfectly, but as basically not even days, as like hours went by, the color that the orange hair had been dyed slowly started to lift off it and just like not be on there. It was kind of weird and insane in an interesting way. Like, I found it very interesting. So I had to go back and re-dye her hair. And that is what led me to mess up her curl pattern. Okay. That led me to have to re-curl her hair. And this is the second time she's getting her hair curled. Okay. That worked fine. But her hair was a lot shorter because I had to cut off certain pieces here and there because the ends were frizzy from the first time I curled it. So I cut her hair, and it was too short. So I stretched the hair out with some heat, damaging the curls and kind of making it irrevocable. Oh, goodness, I stuttered so bad with that. Irrevocable, basically. And I had to curl her hair one last time, which is this final time. And it looks good, don't get me wrong, but definitely I know it would have looked so much better if I just dyed her hair before I put it in her head, and I curled her hair once and I didn't touch anything. Even if I just didn't touch anything just the second time I dyed her hair, I know it looks so much better, but it's okay. Things happen for a reason. And day by day, I'm trying to make it look even better than it did at first. So, yeah. It still looks good, though. Ain't no wrong with that hair. I got magic hands. I made sure this doll looks amazing. But, you know, I just wanted to, I don't know, make her as perfect as she could be. And I feel like I got pretty close to that. And if I did things correctly the first time, she would have been perfect. But she still is as close to perfect as possible. I'm glad I didn't make it thicker because Jesus God, the volume that she has, the absolute volume that she has is gorgeous. She looks absolutely gorgeous and I can't wait to style her. All right, let's on to the reveal. All right, here is my reveal. Like, these dolls look absolutely gorgeous. I'm ecstatic with the way that Sasha turned out. Yasmin hair looks pretty good given that I don't know what type of saran they used, but that stuff just keeps getting frizzy, but I still think it looks pretty. I personally like the way it looks. And just look at Sasha's hair. It could have looked better, but it still looks amazing. Now, that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments of these. Do you like these hair videos that I might continue to be doing in the future? I do have a video of what G4 Brats would look like, so check that out. And I hope you guys have a great night, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in the world. And bye.